The city boys were insulting and overbearing in their conduct, and liked to take it out on the academy boys whenever the opportunity presented itself. One day I was walking down the street with a friend when a city boy, 6 feet tall, approached us and addressed us in the current slang of the day.
Hello, normalites, strawbacks, muskrats.
I wish American youth to resist, when necessary, insults with their fists. So I knocked the city tough into the gutter. But that wasn't the end of it. I returned to the normal school classroom. The city boy showed up there with a policeman.
Point out the man who struck you.
It's Ferris, the guy over there.
Mr. Ferris, accompany me to the police station.
I propose to defend myself, even in the presence of a policeman. Take charge of that man, otherwise the fight is on again.
I was ordered to the court the next day at 10 o'clock. A lawyer friend of mine offered to defend me free of charge. When I appeared, the complainant was not in the court session, so my case was immediately dropped.
I still think I did the correct thing knocking the city tough into the gutter. Physical force is, under certain circumstances, quite as valuable as moral force. I have told my students to use their fist in protecting their loved ones. Yes, when necessary, use your fist in protecting your country and your country's flag.
Ferris the showman.
At one point in my career, my money ran out, so I lectured on phrenology in rural schoolhouses. I'd get permission from the school principals, get flyers printed, pass them out, and have an audience that would come to hear me speak. This, of course, was before the invention of radio or television, and people were in need of entertainment.
Phrenology is a study of character. For 25 cents, I will examine your intellect.
Please, tell me my future.
On this warm spot on the right side of your head, I can tell you, you have a desire for children. You will have 3.
Will they be boys or girls?
It looks now as if they will all be boys.
Oh my, I so wanted a daughter. Must I have all sons?
It looks that way from the shape of your head.
Who will my husband be?
You have 2 lumps towards the back of your neck. Head, I mean. This means 2 husbands.
But I don't believe in divorce.
There is a low mark towards the middle of your head. You will be a widow between the marriages.
Oh heavens, how sad. Will I have grandchildren?
Undoubtedly. You will live a long and vigorous life. I can tell this by the shape of your neck.
How can you tell that?
Well, you have an extremely long neck, which is beautifully attached to your head.
Why, Mr. Ferris, you are certainly excellent at this sort of thing.
Ordinarily, I was an extremely bashful teacher man, and although I have 5 sisters, the smile of a teacher woman was sufficient to fill me with alarm. Well, in the academy, 2 or 3 girls, probably for their own amusement, occasionally wrote me a note or gave me a mischievous wink.
Later on, I ventured to accompany 1 or more of these girls to church. My courage at that time was never sufficient to enable me to attend a school party or social gathering. I met my future wife at the Normal School Debating Society. On December 23rd, 1874, I was married to Miss Helen Gillespie in her home in Fulton, New York.
Life in Big Rapids, Michigan.
I traveled to Big Rapids because I wanted to start a successful private school and to be far enough away from business colleges and academies to eliminate competition. But the natives of Big Rapids weren't too fond of me at first. In fact, I was generally regarded as a lunatic. It didn't occur to those folks that I was founding a school for lumberjacks, miners, children of factory workers, and not just for citizens of Big Rapids.
I opened my school in September of 1884. I rented 2 rooms on the 2nd floor of a building in the block of South Michigan Avenue in Big Rapids and called it Ferris Industrial School. On the first day, I enrolled 15 people. People thought of it as a novelty. Mrs. Ferris and I did all the teaching. I was only 30 years of age. At first, we offered English and bookkeeping. We soon spread our classes to the 2nd and 3rd floors of other nearby buildings in downtown Big Rapids.
We soon had classes in Shoreham. We offered science and had training for public school teachers. Our students came mostly from areas of Michigan south of Big Rapids. During the summers, we offered teacher education courses. There were no enrollment requirements. We gave everyone an opportunity. Anyone could begin, but we required 85% on tests in order to pass a course.
The school just grew out of the demands of the patrons. For instance, because of my medical year at the University of Michigan, I was able to instruct a student in pharmacy who then passed the state exam.
Congressional campaign of 1892.
In 1892, the Democrats nominated me for U.S. Congress. I was a Democrat in a Republican district, and had no idea of winning. But I felt that by campaigning, I could advertise Ferris Industrial School.
I took the train or went by horse-drawn carriage. I spoke in all the towns and in most of the villages in my district, but I wasn't fortunate enough to win the election. Dr. John Avery, my opponent, won by a surprisingly small majority, but I advertised the school, and that was my main purpose. Let us now look in on the spring of 1893, when I was 40 years old.
Ferris Institute.
Helen, we've saved up $5,000 and I've given the builders the go-ahead to construct the first permanent building for Ferris Institute, the new name of our school.
How much is the total cost?
The builders estimate $20,000 for the first building.
But the local bank has failed. We have lost all our money. What will we do now?
Perhaps some of the former Ferris students would buy stock certificates in small denominations so we can complete the building.
Why don't you print certificates and send out letters to all the former students asking for their help?
That's the idea, Helen. We will surmount these obstacles.
We received a great amount of money from stock subscriptions, but asked for no gifts. Just as we were building the heating plant, the Mecosta County Savings Bank also failed, and we lost all the money for that project. Also, hundreds of students had money on deposit there. I personally guaranteed that students would eventually be paid, and that promise was kept.
After 2 banks failed, some Big Rapids businessmen and I started our own bank, called it the Big Rapids Savings Bank, and it prospered. Although I have been a bank president for 20 years, I don't like banking because of the inhumanity that is bred into it. I hate foreclosing on mortgages and putting widows out on the streets.
In 1901, our 3-story building was finally completed. It housed chemistry, pharmacy, biology, literature, drawing, shorthand, and typing. Soon kindergarten, music, and telegraphy were added.
Morning exercises.
While I was running the school, the day would always start out with a half-hour of morning exercises. We would open with a congressional singing, followed by a short talk by myself or by readings. Whenever a great man or woman were available, they were invited to speak. Let's now look on the morning exercises at Christmas time. Lily Tommy Carlisle, whom I have fondly called Goliath, leading the singing, and Miss Ferris, whom I call Beloved Nellie, had just begun finishing reading a poem.
Tommy, I think singing 2 carols would be enough.
No, I want to lead more.
All right, 1 more. But if you don't in that, I'll bite your head off.
And if you do, you'll have more brains in your belly than on your shoulders.
Mr. Carlisle, you are humbling. Good morning, all. What a wonderful time of year it is. But make the best of it. But first, I have a few announcements. Today, I must expel student Hank Brown. He brought liquor to the campus and he gambles in the dorm. We have warned him and warned him. I can't try to be a guardian for all the students. Also, there has been a janitorial complaint that you are wasting toilet paper. If this continues, I'll replace this luxury with real corn cobs instead. I'm sorry to announce that we have had to fire the piano teacher. She was caught last night dancing cheek to cheek down at the drugstore.
Woodbridge, we don't want to cause anyone to miss a train. And remember, there are 3 legislators coming to talk to you about how to prevent bank failures. And some men from the Democratic Party have an appointment with you. I suspect they hope to convince you to run again for governor. Campaigning again.
In 1904, I was nominated for governor. Soon I was in a